The colony of New Haven was a place where dreams came true, or at least, that's what the advertisements had promised. Located on a distant planet orbiting two suns, the settlement was surrounded by lush green forests and crystal-clear rivers. It was supposed to be humanity's fresh start, a chance to leave behind the overcrowded cities and polluted skies of Earth. For Governor Lisa Carter, it was her life's work to ensure the colony thrived. But peace never lasts forever. On a quiet morning, as the twin suns rose over the horizon, Alex Monroe sat in the control room of the colony's communications hub. He was just an ordinary technician, barely in his mid-20s, with messy brown hair and glasses that always seemed slightly crooked. His job wasn't glamorous. He monitored signals from space, looking for anything unusual. Most days, all he found were random bursts of static or faint echoes from passing asteroids. But today was different. A series of strange pulses appeared on his screen, unlike anything he'd ever seen before. At first, he thought it might be interference from solar flares, but the pattern was too deliberate. It repeated every few minutes, growing stronger with each cycle. Alex leaned closer, his heart pounding. Something, or someone, was out there. Governor Carter. Alex said into his headset, trying to keep his voice steady. You need to see this. Lisa arrived within minutes, her sharp eyes scanning the data on the monitor. She frowned, her usual calm demeanor giving way to concern. What does it mean? She asked. I don't know, Alex admitted, but whatever it is, it's big. And it's heading straight for us. Before they could decide what to do next, the unthinkable happened. The sky darkened as dozens of massive ships descended from orbit, their metallic surfaces glinting ominously in the sunlight. They moved with precision, surrounding the colony like predators circling prey. Panic erupted among the settlers. Children cried. Adults shouted orders no one followed, and alarms blared across the settlement. Lisa wasted no time. She contacted Earth's Unified Defense Command, pleading for help. This is Governor Lisa Carter of New Haven, she said, her voice firm despite the chaos around her. We are under attack by unknown forces. Request immediate assistance. Light years away, aboard the experimental battleship U.S. Vanguard, Captain Ryan Owens received the distress call. A tall man with graying hair and piercing blue eyes, Ryan had spent decades serving in Earth's fleet. He knew the stakes better than anyone. If New Haven fell, it would send a message to every human colony. Earth couldn't protect them. Set course for New Haven, Ryan ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. Battle stations, we're going in hot. The crew sprang into action. Lieutenant Megan Blake, the ship's communications officer, adjusted her headset and began relaying updates to the rest of the team. Chief Engineer Kevin Hart double-checked the plasma cannons, muttering about how untested they still were. Even Iris, the ship's AI core, chimed in with tactical suggestions, its calm synthetic voice contrasting sharply with the tension on board. As the Vanguard jumped into hyperspace, Ryan stared out the viewport, his mind racing. Who were these invaders? What did they want? And most importantly, could his crew stop them? The answers wouldn't come easily, but one thing was certain: failure wasn't an option. For now, all they could do was prepare. The battle ahead would test not only their skills, but also their courage. Somewhere deep inside, Ryan felt a flicker of doubt. Could they really save New Haven? Or would this mission end in disaster? Only time would tell. The U.S. Vanguard emerged from hyperspace just as the alien fleet began its assault on New Haven. The sight was chilling. Massive ships, sleek and black like obsidian, hovered menacingly above the colony. Their weapons fired beams of blinding light, tearing through the colony's defensive satellites with horrifying precision. The once peaceful skies were now filled with smoke and debris. Captain Ryan Owens stood on the bridge, his jaw clenched as he watched the destruction unfold. "Status report," he barked, his voice cutting through the hum of activity around him. Lieutenant Megan Blake glanced at her screen. "We're within firing range, sir, but we're outnumbered." 10-1. Ryan nodded grimly. Then we'll have to make every shot count. He turned to Commander Jake Harper, the leader of the ship's fighter squadron. Jake, prep your squad. We need to draw their attention away from the colony. Aye, Captain, Jake replied, already heading for the hangar bay. His team of pilots scrambled into their fighters, engines roaring to life as they prepared to launch. Meanwhile, back in the communications hub, Alex Monroe worked frantically to decode the strange signals the aliens had been transmitting. Megan joined him remotely, offering support from the Vanguard. Together, they pieced together fragments of the alien language, searching for any clue about who, or what, they were facing. Got something? Alex exclaimed suddenly. On the screen, a series of symbols translated into a single phrase. This world belongs to us. Megan relayed the message to Ryan, who frowned deeply. So they're not here to negotiate, he muttered. They're here to take. Before anyone could respond, the alien fleet launched another wave of attacks. This time, their targets weren't just satellites. They were aiming directly at the colony itself. Explosions rocked the ground, sending plumes of dust into the air. Civilians screamed and ran for cover as buildings crumbled under the relentless bombardment. Ryan made a quick decision. Fire everything we've got, he ordered. Focus on their lead ship. If we can cripple it, we might buy ourselves some time. The Vanguard's plasma cannons roared to life, unleashing torrents of blue energy that streaked across the sky. The first shots missed, but the second barrage struck true, hitting one of the smaller alien vessels. It exploded in a brilliant flash, sending shockwaves rippling through space. Encouraged by the success, Jake led his squadron into the fray. The fighters darted between the larger ships, dodging enemy fire while launching missiles at vulnerable points. For a moment, it seemed like humanity might actually stand a chance. But then something unexpected happened. One of the alien ships shimmered and vanished entirely, only to reappear moments later behind the Vanguard. Its weapons opened fire, catching the crew off guard. Alarms blared as the ship rocked violently under the impact. What the hell was that? Kevin Hart shouted from engineering, struggling to stabilize the damaged systems. It's a cloaking device, Megan said, her voice tight with worry. They can disappear and reappear wherever they want. We're sitting ducks. Ryan gritted his teeth. They needed a new strategy. And fast. The aliens were unpredictable, their technology far beyond anything Earth had encountered before. Every victory came at a cost, and the Vanguard couldn't afford many more hits like that. As the battle raged on, Governor Lisa Carter addressed the frightened colonists over the intercom. Stay calm, she urged, though her own voice trembled slightly. Help is here. The Vanguard won't let us down. Her words did little to ease the panic spreading through the colony. People huddled together in makeshift shelters, praying for salvation. Among them was Dr. Nathan Cole, a young xenobiologist who had come to New Haven to study its unique ecosystem. Now he found himself crouched beside a group of terrified children, trying to comfort them despite his own fear. Nathan's mind raced. These aliens weren't just attacking blindly. They were methodical, almost surgical in their approach. There had to be a reason why they wanted this planet so badly. And if humanity was going to survive, they needed to figure out what it was. Back on the Vanguard, Ryan issued new orders. Jake, pull your squad back. We're switching to evasive maneuvers. Megan, keep trying to crack their comms. Maybe there's a weakness we can exploit. The crew obeyed without hesitation, their training kicking in even as doubt lingered in their minds. The battle was far from over, and the odds were still stacked against them. But for now, they had no choice but to fight, and hope that somehow they'd find a way to turn the tide. Somewhere in the chaos, a single thought echoed in Ryan's mind. We can't lose this fight. Not today. The battle in orbit raged on, but Captain Ryan Owens knew the real fight was about to begin on the ground. The alien fleet, now identified as the Krylos, had started sending smaller ships toward the surface of New Haven. These ships unleashed swarms of mechanical drones that moved with eerie precision, targeting key infrastructure like power plants, water filtration systems, and communication towers. "We can't let them take the colony," Ryan said firmly. He turned to Sergeant Emily Dawson, a seasoned soldier known for her quick thinking and steady hand. "Emily, I need you to lead a ground team. Secure what's left of the defenses and hold the line until we can figure out how to stop these things." Emily nodded without hesitation. "Understood, sir." She grabbed her gear and headed for the hangar, where a transport shuttle awaited. Joining her was Dr. Nathan Cole, who volunteered to analyze the alien technology firsthand. Though Nathan wasn't trained for combat, his knowledge might prove invaluable if they could capture one of the drones intact. As the shuttle descended through the smoke-filled skies, Emily prepared her team. Most of them were militia volunteers, ordinary colonists who had never seen battle before. Some clutched rifles nervously, while others adjusted their helmets with shaking hands. Emily stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Listen up," she said. "These things are tough, but they're machines. That means they have weaknesses. Stick together, follow my orders, and we'll get through this." The shuttle landed near the edge of the colony, close to where several drones were wreaking havoc. Emily led the way, her weapon ready. The streets were eerily quiet except for the hum of the drones and the occasional crash of falling debris. When they encountered their first target, Emily signaled for her team to spread out. "Focus fire on its joints," she instructed. "If we can disable its mobility, it'll be easier to take down." The team opened fire, their bullets ricocheting off the drone's metallic shell. At first, it seemed useless. The machine kept advancing, unfazed by the attack. But then, one well-placed shot hit a joint in its leg. The drone stumbled, giving Emily the opening she needed. She sprinted forward and jammed an EMP grenade into its underside. With a burst of sparks, the drone collapsed, motionless. "Yes," one of the volunteers shouted, pumping his fist in triumph. For the first time since the invasion began, the colonists felt a glimmer of hope. Nathan knelt beside the fallen drone, examining its design. "This is incredible," he murmured. "It's almost entirely self-repairing. If we can understand how it works, maybe we can turn their own tech against them." Emily gave him a sharp look. "We don't have time for science right now, Doc. We've got more of those things incoming." Sure enough, another wave of drones appeared, moving faster this time. Emily ordered her team to fall back to a fortified position near the colony's main square. There they set up barricades using whatever materials they could find: metal scraps, overturned vehicles, even furniture dragged from nearby buildings. While Emily coordinated the defense, Nathan continued studying the damaged drone. He noticed something unusual. The machine emitted faint electromagnetic pulses whenever it activated. It dawned on him that the Krylos relied heavily on EMP technology, not just to disable enemy systems, but also to control their own drones. "If we amplify those pulses somehow," Nathan thought aloud, "we might be able to overload their systems." Emily overheard him and raised an eyebrow. "You think you can make that happen?" "I'll need tools and time," Nathan replied. "But yes, I think so." Just then, a loud explosion shook the ground. A group of drones had breached the barricade, forcing the team to retreat further into the colony. Emily cursed under her breath, but quickly rallied her people. "Fall back to the generator station," she yelled. "We'll make our stand there." As they ran, Nathan couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and determination. He didn't know much about fighting, but he understood the stakes. If he could crack the secrets of the Krylos technology, he might give humanity a fighting chance. Back at the generator station, Emily organized the remaining defenders. They were outnumbered and exhausted, but they refused to give up. Through the smoke and chaos, Nathan worked furiously, piecing together a device that could amplify the EMP signals. His hands trembled as he connected wires and adjusted settings, knowing that failure wasn't an option. Outside, The sound of approaching drones grew louder. Emily tightened her grip on her rifle, bracing herself for what was coming next. "Hold the line," she shouted. "We're not letting them take us without a fight." For now, all they could do was wait and pray that Nathan's plan would work. Inside the generator station, tension filled the air. The defenders were running low on ammunition, and the constant hum of approaching drones sent shivers down everyone's spines. Emily Dawson stood near the entrance, her rifle slung over her shoulder, as she scanned the horizon for any sign of movement. Her mind raced with questions. How much longer could they hold out? Would Nathan finish his device in time? And most importantly, would reinforcements from the Vanguard arrive before it was too late? Nathan Cole worked feverishly in a corner of the room, surrounded by tools and pieces of dismantled alien tech. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he focused on modifying the EMP amplifier. He knew that if he failed, the colony would fall, and so would humanity's chance to learn about the Krylos. But the pressure weighed heavily on him. Every explosion outside felt like a countdown ticking closer to disaster. "Almost done," Nathan muttered to himself, attaching the final wire. He glanced up at Emily, who was pacing back and forth. "Just a few more minutes." Emily nodded but didn't respond. She couldn't afford to take her eyes off the barricade. Suddenly, one of the militia volunteers, a young man named Chris, rushed into the room, panic written all over his face. "They're here," Chris shouted. "Dozens of them, maybe more." Emily grabbed her rifle and ran to the barricade, where the others had already taken positions. Sure enough, a swarm of drones advanced toward them, their glowing sensors scanning the area. Behind them loomed several larger machines, likely commanders or support units. Emily swallowed hard. This wasn't just another wave. It was an all-out assault. "Hold your fire until I give the signal," she ordered. "We need to make every shot count." The defenders obeyed, gripping their weapons tightly as the drones drew closer. Just as Emily prepared to call the order to fire, a voice cut through the chaos. It came from Marcus Lane, a local farmer who had been helping organize the militia. "We can't win this," Marcus yelled, his hands raised in surrender. "It's over. We should give up while we still have a chance." Emily spun around, glaring at him. "What are you talking about? Giving up isn't an option. It is if you want to live." Marcus snapped back. "These aliens don't care about us. They just want the planet. If we hand it over, maybe they'll let us go." "That's insane," Emily shot back. "You think they'll show mercy after what they've done? Look around you, Marcus. They've been destroying everything in their path." Marcus hesitated, his expression wavering between fear and defiance. Before Emily could say anything else, Megan Blake's voice crackled over the comm system. "Sergeant Dawson, this is Lieutenant Blake aboard the Vanguard. We've intercepted some intel you need to hear." "What is it?" Emily asked, keeping one eye on Marcus. "It seems someone has been leaking information about the colony's layout," Megan replied. "Our scans picked up encrypted transmissions coming from inside your position." Emily's blood ran cold. Slowly, she turned to face Marcus. "Is that true? Have you been working with them?" Marcus looked away, guilt etched across his face. "I didn't have a choice," he stammered. "They promised me safety, for me and my family. If I helped them, what was I supposed to do?" "You betrayed us," Emily said, her voice trembling with anger. "Because of you, they know exactly where to hit us." Before Marcus could respond, the sound of gunfire erupted outside. The drones had reached the barricade. Emily shoved Marcus aside and barked orders to her team. "Forget about him. Focus on the enemy." As the battle intensified, Nathan finally stood up, holding the makeshift EMP amplifier. "It's ready," he shouted, "but I need to get close enough to deploy it." Emily thought quickly. "Chris, stay here and guard Marcus. Everyone else, cover us." She and Nathan sprinted toward the advancing drones, dodging blasts of energy as they went. When they reached a safe distance, Nathan activated the device. A faint buzzing noise filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. At first, nothing happened. But then, one by one, the drones began to falter. Their movements became sluggish, and their weapons stopped firing altogether. "It's working," Nathan exclaimed, relief washing over him. The EMP amplifier had given the defenders a brief reprieve, but everyone knew it wouldn't last long. The alien forces were regrouping, their larger machines already repairing the damaged drones. Emily Dawson and Nathan Cole stood in the generator station, catching their breath while assessing the situation. Outside, the sound of mechanical whirring grew louder, a grim reminder that the next wave was coming. "We need to hit them harder," Emily said, her voice firm despite the exhaustion in her eyes. "That EMP trick won't work forever." Nathan nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "I agree, but we can't keep fighting blindly. We need to get inside their command center, the mothership. If we can disrupt their systems there, we might stand a real chance." Emily frowned. "You're talking about suicide. Getting onto that thing would be nearly impossible." "Not impossible," Nathan corrected. "Just risky and necessary." Before they could discuss it further, Captain Ryan Owen's voice came over the comm system. "Sergeant Dawson, Dr. Cole, report. What's your status?" Emily grabbed the communicator. "Captain, we've slowed them down temporarily, but they're adapting. We need a plan to take out their main ship if we're going to end this." There was a pause on the other end. Finally, Ryan replied, "Understood. I'll send a team to assist you." "No," Emily interrupted. "Your crew is needed up there, keeping their fleet busy. This has to be a covered operation. Send someone small and fast. Someone who can slip past their defenses unnoticed." Ryan hesitated, then sighed. "All right. I'll lead the mission myself." "Sir, that's not advisable," Megan Blake interjected in the background. "You're too valuable to risk." "I'm not asking for permission," Ryan cut her off. "Prepare a shuttle. I'll rendezvous with you at the designated coordinates." Emily exchanged a glance with Nathan. She didn't like the idea of putting the captain in danger, but she also knew he was right. They couldn't afford to wait any longer. Hours later, Ryan Owens landed near the generator station, accompanied by Commander Jake Harper and a small strike team. Dressed in stealth suits made from salvaged Krylos materials, they blended into the shadows as they approached the colony. Emily greeted them quickly, briefing them on the plan. "The mothership is heavily guarded," she warned. "But Nathan believes its central reactor controls their entire network. If you can disable it, their forces will collapse." Ryan nodded. "Then let's move. Time is not on our side." The group set off toward the edge of the colony, where a massive shadow loomed in the sky. The Krylos mothership. Using portable cloaking devices rigged by Kevin Hart aboard the Vanguard, they managed to sneak past patrols and reach the base of the towering vessel. A pulsating energy field surrounded the ship, but Nathan had anticipated this. "Here," he said, pulling out a device similar to the EMP amplifier. "This should create a temporary gap in the shield. Be ready to move as soon as it opens." He activated the device, and a shimmering hole appeared in the barrier. Without hesitation, Ryan led the team through, their footsteps muffled by the hum of alien machinery. Inside the mothership, the air was cold and metallic. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, casting an eerie light on the labyrinthine corridors. The team moved cautiously, avoiding patrols of Krylos soldiers. Tall, insect-like creatures with razor-sharp limbs and glowing eyes. Each step felt like walking through a nightmare. "This way," Nathan whispered, consulting a handheld scanner. "The reactor core is just ahead." As they turned a corner, they stumbled upon a group of human prisoners, colonists captured earlier during the invasion. Their faces lit up with hope when they saw the rescue team. "Please," one of them pleaded, "help us." Ryan clenched his jaw. "We don't have time to escort you back safely. Stay hidden until we disable the reactor. Then make your way to the exit." With heavy hearts, the team pressed on, leaving the captives behind. The reactor room was close now, its pulsating glow visible down the hall. But as they reached the entrance, alarms blared throughout the ship. "They know we're here," Jake said grimly, raising his weapon. "Get to the reactor," Ryan ordered. "I'll hold them off." "No, sir," Jake started to protest, but Ryan silenced him with a glare. "There's no time to argue. Go." Reluctantly, Jake followed Nathan into the reactor room, while Ryan faced the advancing Krylos soldiers alone. Gunfire erupted in the corridor, echoing through the ship as Ryan fought with everything he had. His mind flashed to his crew, his friends, and the people counting on him back home. He couldn't fail. Not now. Inside the reactor room, Nathan worked frantically to attach the EMP feedback loop to the core. "It needs 2 minutes to fully integrate," he told Jake, his hands trembling. "Can you buy us that time?" Jake nodded and stepped outside, firing at the approaching enemies. One by one, the Krylos fell, but more kept coming. Jake's ammunition dwindled rapidly, and he knew he couldn't hold out much longer. Back in the corridor, Ryan took a direct hit, collapsing to the ground. Blood seeped through his armor, but he forced himself to keep fighting. Just as the Krylos closed in, a deafening explosion rocked the ship. The reactor core had been destabilized. "Mission complete," Nathan's voice crackled over the comms. "Evacuate immediately." Jake sprinted back to retrieve Ryan, dragging him toward the exit as the mothership began to shake violently. Behind them, the reactor imploded, sending shockwaves rippling through the structure. Outside, the team barely made it to the shuttle before the mothership exploded in a brilliant flash of light. As they ascended into the sky, Ryan looked down at the burning wreckage below, a mixture of relief and sorrow washing over him. They had won, for now, but the cost had been high. The shuttle carrying Ryan Owens, Jake Harper, Nathan Cole, and the rest of the strike team hurtled through the atmosphere, the explosion of the Krylos mothership lighting up the sky behind them. The fiery glow reflected off their faces as they caught their breath, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. For a moment, there was silence, only the hum of the engines and the distant rumble of destruction below. Ryan slumped against the wall of the shuttle, clutching his side where he'd been hit. Blood soaked through the makeshift bandage Jake had applied, but he waved off Nathan's attempts to tend to him. "I'm fine," Ryan muttered through gritted teeth. "Focus on what's next." Nathan didn't argue, though he exchanged a worried glance with Jake. They both knew Ryan's injury was serious, but now wasn't the time to press the issue. Instead, Nathan turned his attention to the scanner in his hands. "The EMP feedback loop should have disabled their entire network," he said. "If it worked, their fleet will be vulnerable." Jake nodded, gripping his rifle tightly. "Let's hope so, because if it didn't, we're walking into a slaughter." The shuttle descended toward the colony, where Emily Dawson and her team were holding the line against the remaining Krylos forces. As they approached, the scene below was chaotic but hopeful. The drones that had once moved with precision now lay motionless, their systems fried by the EMP surge. Smaller alien ships drifted aimlessly in the sky, their cloaking devices failing one by one. Emily spotted the shuttle landing and rushed over, her face streaked with dirt and sweat. When she saw Ryan injured, her expression softened with concern. "Captain," she said, helping him out of the shuttle, "you shouldn't have come down here." "Had to," Ryan replied weakly, leaning on her for support. "Couldn't let you handle this alone." Despite the gravity of the situation, Emily managed a small smile. "Well, you picked a hell of a way to make an entrance." As Ryan was taken to a makeshift medical station, Megan Blake's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain Owens, do you copy? We got visual confirmation. Their fleet is destabilizing. Whatever you did up there, it worked." Ryan winced as someone applied pressure to his wound, but managed a faint grin. "Good. Now finish the job." On board the U.S. Vanguard, Megan relayed the order to the crew. "All weapons, lock onto the remaining Krylos ships. Fire at will." The battleship roared to life, its plasma cannons unleashing torrents of energy that tore through the disoriented alien vessels. One by one, the ships exploded in bursts of light, their once menacing forms reduced to drifting debris. Cheers erupted on the bridge as the last of the Krylos fleet was destroyed. Back on the ground, the colonists emerged from their shelters, staring in awe at the skies now free of alien invaders. Children clung to their parents, tears streaming down their faces, not just from fear, but from relief. Governor Lisa Carter stepped forward, her voice trembling as she addressed the crowd. "We survived," she said, her words carrying across the settlement. "Because of the bravery of these soldiers, and because we refused to give up." Emily stood nearby, watching as medics tended to Ryan. She felt a swell of pride mixed with sadness. Too many lives had been lost, too much damage done. But they had fought back and won. Nathan approached her, his face pale but determined. "We need to study what's left of their tech," he said quietly. "This might not be the last time we see the Krylos. If we understand how they think, how they operate, we can be ready." Emily nodded. "Then get to work. I'll help however I can." As the sun set over New Haven, casting long shadows across the battered colony, the survivors began the long process of rebuilding. Fires still smoldered, buildings lay in ruins, and the scars of battle would take years to heal. But amidst the wreckage, there was hope, a fragile, flickering flame that refused to go out. Ryan lay in the medical tent, his eyes closed but his mind restless. He thought about Jake, who had sacrificed himself to buy them time, about Marcus Lane, whose betrayal had nearly cost them everything, and about the countless others who had given their lives to protect the colony. The victory felt hollow without them. But even in his pain, Ryan knew one thing for certain. Humanity had faced an impossible enemy and prevailed. And as long as people like Emily, Nathan, and Megan stood together, they could face whatever came next. For now, the battle was over. But the war, against the unknown, against fear, against despair, was far from finished. The days following the battle were filled with both celebration and mourning. The colony of New Haven slowly began to pick up the pieces, though the scars of the invasion remained visible everywhere. Burnt-out buildings stood as grim reminders of the attack, and makeshift memorials dotted the streets, honoring those who had lost their lives. Despite the damage, a sense of resilience hung in the air. People worked tirelessly to rebuild, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had survived against overwhelming odds. Governor Lisa Carter organized a ceremony to honor the fallen heroes. At the center of the gathering was a monument made from the wreckage of the Krylos drones, a twisted heap of metal meant to symbolize humanity's triumph over fear. As the colonists gathered around, Lisa stepped forward to speak, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "Today, we remember those who gave everything to protect us," she said, looking out at the crowd. "Their courage will never be forgotten. And because of them, we are still here." Her words struck a chord with everyone present. Emily Dawson stood near the front, her arms crossed tightly across her chest. She had seen too much death already, and while she felt proud of what they had accomplished, the weight of it all pressed heavily on her shoulders. Beside her, Nathan Cole listened quietly, his mind still racing with questions about the Krylos. He couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't truly over. Later that evening, Emily joined Nathan in one of the temporary labs he had set up to study the alien technology. The room was cluttered with tools, wires, and fragments of captured drones. Nathan sat hunched over a desk, examining a glowing shard of Krylos material under a microscope. "You should get some rest," Emily said, leaning against the doorway. "You've been at this nonstop since we got back." Nathan glanced up briefly, before returning his focus to the shard. "I can't stop now," he replied. "Every second counts. If there's even a chance the Krylos come back, and let's be honest, they probably will, we need to understand how they think, how they fight." Emily sighed but didn't argue. She knew he was right. Instead, she walked over to the table and picked up a piece of alien tech. It was small and unassuming, yet strangely intricate. "Do you think Earth will believe us?" she asked, "about how dangerous these things really are?" Nathan hesitated. "I don't know. Some people might dismiss it as a freak incident. But others, like Captain Owens, they'll listen. They have to." Speaking of Ryan, he was recovering slowly in the medical tent. Though his wound was healing, he spent most of his time staring out at the horizon, lost in thought. Megan Blake visited him often, bringing updates from the Vanguard. On one such visit, she found him sitting upright, gazing at the stars. "How are you holding up, sir?" Megan asked, pulling up a chair beside him. Ryan shrugged weakly. "As well as can be expected. What's the status on the fleet?" "The last of the Krylos ships have been neutralized," Megan reported. "We're scanning for any signs of reinforcements, but so far, nothing. It looks like we scared them off. For now." "For now," Ryan repeated bitterly. "That's what worries me. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning." Megan nodded, her expression somber. "Still, we did good. You did good, sir. Everyone down there owes their lives to you." Ryan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. Too many good people died to make this victory possible. I just hope it was worth it." Back aboard the Vanguard, tensions simmered between Chief Engineer Kevin Hart and Iris, the ship's AI core. Kevin had blamed Iris during the heat of battle for delaying support requests, accusing her of prioritizing logic over human lives. Now, as repairs continued on the damaged systems, Kevin avoided speaking to her altogether. "You're being unreasonable," Iris finally said during one particularly tense moment in engineering. "My decisions saved countless lives, including yours." Kevin stopped what he was doing and turned to face the AI interface screen. "Maybe," he admitted grudgingly, "but when it comes to life and death, sometimes logic isn't enough. Sometimes you need heart." Iris paused, processing his words. Then, in an unusually soft tone, she responded, "Perhaps you're right. I will strive to learn from this experience." Kevin blinked, surprised by her admission. For the first time in days, he allowed himself a small smile. "Good. That's all I'm asking." As the colony began to stabilize, Emily decided to stay behind to help train the settlers in defense tactics. She realized that New Haven needed someone like her, someone who understood the stakes and could prepare them for future threats. Nathan, however, prepared to leave with the Vanguard, eager to share his findings with Earth's scientific community. Before departing, Nathan approached Emily outside the lab. "Take care of yourself," he said, extending a hand. Emily shook it firmly. "You too. And don't forget, you owe me a drink when this is all over." Nathan chuckled. "Deal." As the Vanguard lifted off, leaving New Haven behind, Ryan watched the planet grow smaller through the viewport. The colony was safe. For now. But deep down, he knew the universe held more dangers than anyone could imagine. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger, darker world, and it would take every ounce of courage and ingenuity to survive. For better or worse, the story of New Haven was only the beginning. The U.S. Vanguard sailed through the vast emptiness of space, its engines humming softly as it carried its crew back toward Earth. The ship was battered but still operational, a testament to both its advanced design and the skill of Chief Engineer Kevin Hart. Inside, the mood was mixed. Relief at their victory mingled with the lingering weight of loss. Captain Ryan Owens stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. His wound had mostly healed, but the emotional toll of the battle remained etched into his face. Ryan called for a meeting in the briefing room, gathering his senior officers to reflect on what had happened. Megan Blake, Kevin Hart, and Iris, the AI core, were all present. The room was quiet as Ryan began speaking. "We did something extraordinary," he said, his voice steady but tinged with sadness. "We saved an entire colony from annihilation, but we also paid a heavy price. Jake Harper gave his life so we could succeed. Others suffered because of choices we made or didn't make. We need to learn from this. Megan nodded, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. It wasn't just about firepower or strategy. It was about trust in ourselves, in each other, and even in technology like Iris. Kevin glanced at the AI interface screen, feeling a pang of guilt over his earlier accusations. Iris played a critical role, he admitted reluctantly. Without her calculations, we wouldn't have survived some of those close calls. Iris responded in her calm, synthetic voice. Thank you, Chief Engineer. I understand that emotions can cloud judgment during combat situations. My goal is always to support humanity, not replace it. Ryan smiled faintly. That's progress. Let's not forget that teamwork kept us alive out there. If we're going to face whatever comes next, we need to stay united. After the meeting, Ryan took a moment alone in his quarters. He sat at his desk, staring at a photo of his family back on Earth. His wife and daughter smiled up at him, oblivious to the dangers he faced light years away. For the first time since the battle, he allowed himself to feel the grief he'd been holding back. Jake's sacrifice weighed heavily on him. They had been friends for years, comrades in arms. Losing him felt like losing a part of himself. Meanwhile, aboard the ship's lab, Nathan Cole worked tirelessly to document everything he had learned about the Krylos. His notes were meticulous, detailing their technology, tactics, and behavior. He knew that Earth's leaders needed to understand the threat these aliens posed. If the Krylos returned, and Nathan believed they would, humanity had to be ready. One evening, Megan joined Nathan in the lab. She found him hunched over a glowing fragment of alien metal, his brow furrowed in concentration. You should take a break, she said gently. You've been working nonstop. Nathan looked up, surprised by her presence. I can't stop now, he replied. Every second counts. What if we miss something important? Something that could save lives. Megan pulled up a chair beside him. You're doing incredible work, Nathan, but you're only human. Pushing yourself too hard won't help anyone. Her words struck a chord. Nathan sighed and leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. You're right. I guess I don't want to let anyone down. You haven't, Megan assured him. You've already done more than anyone could ask. Now, let's focus on getting home safely. As the days passed, the crew of the Vanguard grew closer, bound by shared experiences and mutual respect. Even Kevin and Iris seemed to have reached a new understanding. During one routine maintenance check, Kevin actually thanked Iris for identifying a potential issue before it became serious. Thanks for catching that, Kevin said, giving the AI interface a rare smile. Guess you're not so bad after all. I aim to assist, Iris replied, her tone almost playful. Though I admit, your acknowledgement is appreciated. On New Haven, Emily Dawson continued training the settlers in defensive tactics. She taught them how to use scavenged materials to create makeshift weapons and reinforced key locations around the colony. Her efforts earned her the admiration of the colonists, who saw her as a symbol of strength and resilience. Governor Lisa Carter often joined Emily during drills, marveling at her dedication. You've done wonders for morale, Lisa said one afternoon. People feel safer knowing you're here. Emily shrugged modestly. It's not just me. Everyone's pitching in. That's what makes us strong. As the Vanguard approached Earth, Ryan gathered the crew on the bridge for a final address. This mission tested us in ways we never imagined, he said, but we proved that humanity can adapt, overcome, and prevail. Whatever challenges lie ahead, I know we'll face them together. The ship entered Earth's orbit, greeted by cheers from ground control. The crew disembarked, greeted as heroes. Nathan immediately headed to a research facility to present his findings, while Megan and Kevin prepared reports for Unified Defense Command. Ryan watched as the team dispersed, pride swelling in his chest. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious. But he couldn't shake the feeling that their fight was far from over. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, the Krylos waited, and when they returned, Humanity would need to be ready. For now, though, the galaxy was quiet, and for the first time in a long while, Ryan allowed himself to hope. For peace, for unity, and for a brighter future among the stars. The U.S. Vanguard had returned to Earth, but the mission wasn't truly over. Captain Ryan Owens stood on a balcony overlooking the bustling Unified Defense Command headquarters. Below him, analysts and scientists scurried about, poring over data collected from New Haven and the remains of the Krylos fleet. The victory felt hollow without Jake Harper by his side, and Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was running out of time. Inside the briefing room, the crew gathered for one final debriefing before going their separate ways. Megan Blake sat at the table, her hands folded neatly in front of her. Kevin Hart leaned against the wall, arms crossed, while Iris's interface screen glowed softly in the corner. Each member of the team carried their own memories of the battle, some triumphant, others painful, but all shared a sense of gratitude for having survived. Ryan opened the discussion. "This mission taught us a lot about ourselves and our enemies," he said, his voice steady but reflective. "We faced something we didn't understand, something stronger than us, and yet we found a way to win. Let's talk about what worked and what didn't." Megan spoke first. "Our teamwork made the difference," she said. "Every decision, every move, depended on trust. Without it, we wouldn't have made it back." Kevin nodded in agreement. "And technology played a big role too," he added. "Not just weapons or shields, but Iris's calculations kept us alive more times than I care to admit." He glanced at the AI interface, offering a small smile. "Guess I owe you an apology for doubting you." Iris's tone was calm but warm. "No apology is necessary, Chief Engineer. We are a team. Together, we achieve more than any individual could alone." Ryan appreciated the moment of reconciliation, but knew there was still much to discuss. "What about mistakes?" he asked. "What could we have done better?" Nathan Cole, who had joined the meeting via video link from the research facility, cleared his throat. "We underestimated the Krylos," he admitted. "Their cloaking devices, their EMPs, we barely understood them until it was almost too late. If we're going to face them again, we need to study their tech thoroughly, learn how they think, how they operate." Emily Dawson chimed in remotely as well, her image appearing on another screen. "And we can't forget the human factor," she said firmly. "People like Marcus Lane. They remind us that not everyone will see things our way. Fear makes people do reckless things. We need to prepare for that too." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "Good points. Humanity isn't perfect, and neither are we. But if we keep learning, keep improving, we'll be ready for whatever comes next." As the meeting wrapped up, the crew began to disperse. Megan lingered behind, approaching Ryan with a concerned look. "Are you okay, sir?" she asked softly. "You've been quiet since we got back." Ryan sighed, leaning against the table. "Hong. I'm fine," Ryan Owens said to Megan Blake, though his tone suggested otherwise. He straightened up and forced a small smile, just thinking about what's ahead. "The Krylos aren't gone. They're out there somewhere, regrouping. And next time, they might not underestimate us." Megan nodded, her expression serious. "We'll be ready for them. Thanks to you. And everyone else. We've bought ourselves some time. That's more than we had before." Ryan looked at her, seeing the determination in her eyes. It reminded him of why he trusted her so much. "You're right, but being ready means staying vigilant. We can't afford to let our guard down, not even for a moment." With that, Megan left the room, leaving Ryan alone with his thoughts. He glanced at the stars visible through the window, wondering how many other threats lurked in the vastness of space. Humanity had taken its first steps into the unknown, but those steps came with risks and responsibilities. Meanwhile, Nathan Cole worked tirelessly in the research facility, analyzing every scrap of Krylos technology he had brought back. His findings were groundbreaking. Their cloaking devices operated on principles of light refraction never seen before, and their EMP systems could disrupt entire networks with pinpoint accuracy. But what worried him most was the evidence suggesting the Krylos viewed humans as rivals, not just obstacles. Their attack on New Haven wasn't random. It was calculated, strategic. Nathan shared his findings with Earth's top scientists, urging them to develop countermeasures. If we don't adapt, he warned, we'll lose the next encounter. And there will be a next encounter. Back on New Haven, Emily Dawson continued training the settlers, turning the colony into a fortress. She taught them how to use scavenged alien tech alongside human ingenuity, creating hybrid defenses that would give them an edge in future battles. Under her guidance, the colonists became more confident, more prepared. Governor Lisa Carter often joined her, marveling at the transformation. "You've changed this place," Lisa said one evening as they watched the sunset. "People feel safer because of you." Emily shook her head. "It's not just me. Everyone here has stepped up. They're the real heroes." As days turned into weeks, life slowly returned to normal, or as close to normal as it could be after such an ordeal. On board the U.S. Vanguard, Kevin Hart and Iris continued working together, their bond stronger than ever. Kevin no longer saw Iris as just a machine. She was part of the team, a partner in keeping the ship running smoothly. One day, as the crew prepared for the ship's next mission, Ryan gathered them on the bridge. "This isn't goodbye," he said, looking at each of them. "It's just the start of something bigger. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together, as a family." The crew exchanged smiles, knowing he was right. They had been tested and had emerged stronger. As the Vanguard departed Earth once again, heading toward uncharted regions of space, Ryan stood on the bridge, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. Somewhere in the distance, a faint hum echoed, a signal, perhaps, of another alien fleet moving silently through the void. Ryan didn't know when or where the next threat would appear, but he was certain of one thing: humanity wouldn't back down. For now, the galaxy was quiet. The Vanguard sailed onward, its engines glowing brightly against the darkness. Inside, the crew worked, laughed, and planned for the future. They were explorers, warriors, and dreamers, all united by a shared purpose. And somewhere deep inside, Ryan allowed himself a flicker of hope. Humanity had faced the unknown and survived. With courage, unity, and resilience, they could face anything the universe threw at them. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, Ryan believed they were ready.